I just had a feeling I was going to get laid off. So I moved to Spotify with a really increased salary. So I looked at that salary as like, that's going to be my savings. That increase in
So
salary,
smart.
yeah, I'm like, this is going to be my savings and my investing and like the money, but I'm going to keep my expenses low because I have a feeling this is coming.
Welcome to the Chingona Revolution podcast, where we will bring out your inner badass Latina, overcome self-doubt, help you gain clarity, and pave your own path, all while leading with courage. I am your host, Latina coach and speaker, Erica Cruz. Hello, hello. Welcome back to Chingona Revolution podcast. In today's episode, we're talking all about how to thrive in today's job market and in today's economy. I have a really special guest joining me today to talk to you about all things career, all things money. Jenn Jamali is a career and money coach, and she worked as a recruiter at some top companies for almost a decade. And she also is just such a personal finance guru. I mean, she taught me a lot of things that I know about personal finance. She is an investor. I mean, she is just absolute goals when it comes to anything job related and personal finance related, as well as investing. And she gives so many amazing tips through this episode. Jenn and I go way back. I mean, we've been working together since I want to say she joined Courage Driven Latina in 2021, where she led a wealth workshop for the group. And we all loved it. Like, I'll never forget. I learned so much from that wealth workshop. And while she held that wealth workshop, she was like, I really like this. And that was the seed that was planted that she actually wanted to start her coaching business. And now, fast forward almost 3 years later, here we are in 2024. She's actually a client of mine again, but this time inside of Magnetic Mastermind. And Jenn has really taken what would be like an unfortunate situation and used it as a launch pad to like build her business. And I can't wait for you to hear the full story. But Jenn has really been able to fund her own maternity leave. Again, here I am spilling the beans. I'm going to stop talking because I want you to get into the episode, but she's absolutely killing it on LinkedIn. She gives a lot of really good advice. So let's go ahead and get into the episode. Jenn, welcome to Chingona Revolution podcast. I'm so excited to speak career, money, coaching, motherhood, and all the things with you. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. All my favorite topics. Thank you for having me here today.
Yeah, I think it's going to be such a valuable episode for the listeners, especially in today's climate of there's like so many layoffs, right? A recession, like there's just so many different things going on. And I think there's a more, there's a bigger need now for career and money coaches than ever before, especially of color. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, even though I've already kind of said some of it.
Yeah. So I am a first generation Colombian Iranian. Yeah, mom, new mom. I have an 8-month-old daughter, and yeah, I transitioned to becoming from being a recruiter for many years to now I am a career and money coach, focusing on helping women really leverage their career and to be able to make more and have more options for themselves. So, yeah, I got laid off at 8 weeks pregnant from my dream company, Spotify. And I was like, this is a sign. It's time for me to really be able to start my business, something that I've always wanted to do, this kind of business. So, I'm excited to dive in more.
Me too. Okay, so let's take it back. I met you like in 2021, I believe,
Yeah.
because you joined Courage Driven Latina. And at the time, you were a recruiter. I actually remember that you transitioned into this dream job like at the end of your time inside of Courage Driven Latina, right? And I'm like just taken back to that trip when I was in Austin, and then we went to the vision board party together, and you like manifested everything on your vision board. I feel like we should come back to that. But okay, tell us a little bit about your experience, like how you decided that you wanted to become a career and money coach? I think the career side kind of like is probably because you were a recruiter, right? So you already had experience there, but tell us a little bit about how you found the clarity to like what happened in your life that made you find the clarity as to what you wanted to do.
That is a loaded question, but yeah, I think it was definitely really focused on, yeah, I really discovered and took into account personal finance in 2020, maybe a year before I met you in October of 2021. And so I completely changed like the way I viewed everything, my values, everything when the pandemic happened. And I think that happened to a lot of us. And so I completely changed my mindset around money. And I was always a really good saver, but I also was a good spender too. And I was able to really focus on, I completely focused on making more money. And then I focused on investing in real estate, and business was just something that was really exciting for me. So in the pandemic, I also started a cake business, and then I started my real estate investing portfolio. And then I was like, wait, I can do a lot of things with money if I just keep on making more and keeping my expenses low, and have been able to build a real estate portfolio. And then in Courage Driven Latina back in 2021, I was given the opportunity to lead a money and investing workshop, a wealth workshop. And I was just on cloud nine talking about money. I felt that I knew a lot more than I thought. But I also was able to help people really understand their money. So I knew this piece of career, having that experience in recruiting, so that was what I knew. And then money and personal finance is what I love. So I wanted to really marry the two together and be able to create coaching and help people really focus on their careers to benefit their personal finance and then build even more options for themselves. I just don't think it's taught to us, especially as first generation. And I think we've also been fed like an American dream that I think at this point in 2024, we should be questioning. So, really being
Mhm.
able to, yeah, teach people really looking at their money differently and how it can benefit them, and looking at their career and how it can benefit them as well, versus just being kind of at the mercy of a business or of a company. So yeah, I mean, I was laid off very easily from my 9 to 5, making great money. And so that I really prepared myself for this situation. So, but going back, that's kind of how I married the two. I just saw like, yeah, you need to be able to get your personal finances in a good place, you need to be able
Mhm.
to make money and then
Yeah.
understand where your money's going too.
I love that. I'm glad you shared even like starting the cake business because I think people listening might have this assumption that they just need to already have it figured out and already know, and the path to success is rarely straight. It's going to have a lot of like twists and turns, but even the cake business I'm sure taught you so many things about business that you didn't know before that you're then now implementing in your business now. And you also said something about the American dream that we need to revisit, and I feel like that is so key, especially because, and you're bicultural, right? But like these two cultures probably told you the same thing of like, go find a stable job, stay there until you retire, save all your money, right? And then you end up getting laid off. And it's like, we think this is like the stable path, and it's not, like, especially with the way that the job market is at this moment. And what happened to you is what everybody is fears, being laid off, and then, but like add the pregnancy component, right? Like you were getting ready to tell your manager that you were expecting, and then you end up getting that email from HR, right? So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about how you navigated what was like the worst case scenario, and like how your own, like, because this is literally what you help people with, but you had to coach yourself through this. So how did you coach yourself through this?
Yeah, so getting laid off was one of my biggest fears because I watched my mom get laid off multiple times growing up. And so she would always be in this, have a very, positive outlook, like, I'm gonna figure it out. We're fine. I just got I don't have a job anymore. So she was very open about that. But that also was like one of my core money memories was my mom getting laid off. And so that's kind of what stuck with me about money. Like, I gotta save, I gotta take care of myself, but I always have to have that very, very comfortable job. Like, I'm always looking for the net best job every time. So going back to, like and then I don't know, I just had a feeling from the second I started at Spotify that I was gonna get laid off. And I was getting reassurance multiple times, like, my manager had no idea the layoffs were coming, and he was just, he's like, "No, no, you're fine." So, from June of 2022, I just had a feeling I was gonna get laid off, so I moved to Spotify with a really increased salary. So, I looked at that salary as, like, that's gonna be my savings. That increase in
So
salary,
smart.
yeah, I'm like, "This is gonna be my savings and my investing and, like, the money, but I'm gonna keep my expenses low because I have a feeling this is coming." So I really was able to see, like, the writing on the wall. I was like, work's pretty slow right now, like, this is" they're like, "Oh, yeah, like, this is work-life balance, Jen." And I'm like, "I don't know about that." So, like, I was really, like, preparing for the worst, and my goal was to start my family too. So I specifically went to this company because of the amazing parental leave, maternity
Yeah.
leave. It was 6 months. It's a European company. I was so excited. I was like, "Yes, this is where I'm gonna get pregnant, and then I'm gonna take my maternity leave, and then I'll start my business on my maternity leave, and then once that's done, then I can leave my job." And then but it literally came 1 year earlier. So I was preparing for months for this layoff that I was just saving, and then I was like, "Okay, I guess this is time for me to start my business now." And I'm gonna have a very stress-free pregnancy. That was something I wanted. I was really focused on, yeah, like, this was my goal to start my family, but I really wanted to make sure that, the baby can feel everything I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So what am I gonna do to protect myself? And so, yeah, like I said, I just saved a lot in that time. I invested, and I was able to really focus on having a stress-free pregnancy and start a business that, was on my terms. And so I just tested a bunch of things out in that time, but really was able to, yeah, build my business from this layoff. So it was just really that redirection I needed.
That's amazing. And I just feel like I want to point out it's not like you were being negative or cynical, like you were being prepared, right? You looked at
Yes.
your job as like what we call inside of Courage Driven Latina, the sugar daddy job. Like this is just going to give you the stability you need to get to, like, it's just the stepping stone. It's not the end goal. And I think what you really allowed yourself to do and what you help your clients do is look at the bigger picture rather than just like what is the like immediate next goal. It's more about like where is this step taking us to, right? Like what's the ultimate goal here? And for you it was having a family, and that job was nothing more than like a stepping stone to help you do that. How
Exactly.
amazing.
Yeah, it was just the right, like, I think everything really happened for a reason, and it was just pushing me to the place where I needed to be, and I had no animosity really towards my employer, towards Spotify. It was an amazing company. I was so thankful to be there for that time, but I was over being a recruiter, and I had actually said out loud, like, "I'm done with this," and then I got laid off a week later. So I would say I probably manifested this myself, but,
I was just
you
gonna
know,
say that you're just a master manifester.
I mean, it's kind of wild. I don't understand how it happens, but I am a manifesting generator, so it makes sense.
Yes, you are. Okay, so we went to that vision board party. This is such a side note. This really has nothing to do with the interview, but we were just talking about manifesting. But we went to a vision board party, and Jen already knew that she was like ready. Like, you've been married. So, like, you knew you were ready to start a family within the next few years. And you found a photo of a baby to put on your vision board. And then tell us the rest.
So I knew I really wanted to have a daughter, and I was like, and I found this picture. I just Googled cute baby, and I found the first baby, like, all the babies that came up were bald, and I found the first one with hair because I knew my baby was gonna have lots of hair because I was born with a lot of hair, and, literally, my baby turned out to be just looking just like that baby once she was around 6 months. It was kind of wild, and it was just a placeholder, really, like, "I'm gonna have a daughter, and I'm gonna name her Lucy," and, yeah, that's where that came. I'm like, "Okay, This whole manifesting thing and really visualizing something, it makes a big difference for
It
sure.
does. Yeah, didn't somebody ask you, how did you get a picture of your baby on your vision board?
Yeah, I'm like, "It's Google." I Googled her, and then I made her.
Oh my gosh, I love this. I love this. Okay, let's go back to career stuff. What advice do you have for people who are afraid of the job market because of all of the layoffs? Like either they're in a job and they're fearing a layoff, or they are almost discouraged from applying to jobs because they're afraid they might be laid off. What advice would you have for them?
So if you've already been laid off, I would say the market, like these are cyclical things. I saw my mom get laid off once every 10 years because her like industry was very much a cyclical thing. Like, markets go up and down, certain industries go up and down. Like this is layoffs are part of the career trajectory of corporate America. And so if this happened to you, obviously very uncomfortable, but just know like your skills, your transferable skills, it doesn't have like you don't have to go back into the job that you were in. You can change careers. Like you don't have to be stuck to one career or you don't have to be stuck to something because you went to school for it. Like this is a perfect opportunity for you to really look at what you actually want to do. Like when in your career do you have this time off that you were pushed into to reevaluate what you're wanting to focus on? So that's like if you've already been laid off, that's what the advice I would give. And then if you're afraid of layoffs that they're coming, like start really keeping an eye out on those interesting conversations that your manager may be having or like changes in your job. Like start to really prepare because a lot of the time those layoffs can be like, oh my gosh, I did not see that coming when, the writing was probably on the wall. You just thought you probably weren't going to get affected. And it's honestly, it's not even a personal thing. Like, I think that's something really hard that I have to usually walk through with my clients. Like, it wasn't personal usually. It's not performance based. It's literally a number. Like they had like a certain team had to cut off this many people, and then you start thinking, but why was it me? And then there's no point in having an answer for that. It's just like just know that if you could get this job, you can get another job. And personally, like I've seen plenty of my network get hired in recruiting. And so the fact that more and more recruiters are getting hired, that means more and more jobs are opening up. So very cyclical, but I advise you to take advantage of every situation that you're in. Like build that emergency fund. Don't build it for just 3 months, build it 6 months to a year. That's what I'm started telling my clients is really to build that emergency fund of all your fixed expenses for at least minimum 6 months at this point, because that's what typically what I'm seeing is what's making like the amount of time people are taking to find a new job. But just get yourself to a point where you feel really comfortable with your money, and it takes time. That's why I definitely do advise coaching to really get your head around your money, because you really want to make sure you're organized and ready to go just in case anything that unexpected comes up.
Love it. Yeah, such good advice because especially the part about it's not personal, but I think especially in our culture, it's like there's so much pride tied to your career and to working and to being a good worker that any layoff can feel so personal and like, well, I must not have good work ethic. But what I've actually seen as a coach that has had many clients be laid off is that a lot of times my clients had this desire to go do something else or to switch careers, and they wouldn't have done it if they weren't laid off. It's like almost the door gets closed for you so that you could go pursue something else. So to Jen's point, look at it as an opportunity to reevaluate. And then also like what you were saying about if you've already been, or like if you think you might be laid off, like how can you start preparing for it, right? And like what I find though is that people just sit there and freak out and they're like, oh my gosh, what if I get laid off? But they're not really doing anything to prepare. But like some of the things you could be doing is like updating your resume, looking at the job market, like using time, like if work is slow, use it to work on your project, right? Whatever like passion project you have, start building your skills, take a course. Like there's so many things you could do to be preparing behind the scenes. but people are just like focused on like the overthinking of like, what if I'm laid off, and like the shame there. And I think what you're really helping your clients do is remove the shame and actually take action.
Yes. Control what you can. Like, truly
Exactly.
take control of your finances, your skills, being able to communicate your skills, practicing interviewing, really tapping into your network. These are all things that you can control that can get you closer and closer to even a better opportunity. So, I think there's a lot of things that we need to take advantage of in that time, but also just like, yeah, take ownership on those things that you can really focus on.
Love it. Okay, so I feel like you've given some really good advice around career. So let's say that somebody, because you really specialize in helping people increase their salary so that they can then build their wealth. This is something that you really were able to do when you were at Spotify before you were laid off. And that's how you were able to fund your own maternity leave. So, I mean, like, here's the thing, you could go help people get like a $10,000 raise, $20,000 raise. But if they don't know how to manage that money, they could end up in the exact same place. So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about your wealth building strategy to fund your maternity leave. Was it just saving from like savings one part, right? Saving from like your pay raise when you went to Spotify. But like what else happened?
Yeah, I think so. I started really focusing on my personal, like my finances in 2020. So it had been some time of me building these skills and putting them into action. So at the end of 2020, I invested in a home right outside of Austin. And then in 2021, not even a year later, I bought a house in with my husband in Florida. So we had been managing, like building these assets, putting our increased salaries towards these assets. And, it was COVID time. So, like, we weren't going out, we weren't planning vacations. It was very much a time for us to save. And so, what I would say is really focusing on, what are your expenses? Like, really look into like what you're actually spending on. Where can you cut expenses for your time being? Something that I would learn really through personal finances, like you can look at everything as like levers. So, this month I really need to build up my emergency fund for this amount. So I'm going to turn it down on like the amount I go out or how much I'm drinking, things like that. So, really looking at every single kind of stage and like a season of where you're in as like you can adjust your money in certain ways. So during that time, I really focused on, okay, I'm going to buy assets and take advantage of that time. So I've really built up my portfolio on real estate and then, yeah, focused heavily on saving. So, and then I was like, okay, well, I can also invest in myself through coaching too. So I joined programs. I was like, okay, business is what I really want to focus on. So where am I going to put my money to be able to build some skills, learn from others that have already done it and really be in like the environment I need to be in to be able to build my business. So those were where I really focused on my investments and really helped
Sure.
me grow my net worth, but also grow that interim, like that stress-free maternity leave I was able to have, and then go full force on my business once I was ready.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And you know what? As you were talking, one of the things that I learned from you and Xiomara, because you two did the wealth building workshop together inside of Courage Driven Latina, but I'm pretty sure it was you. You talked about value based spending. And like, I always come back to this term because I'd never heard it before. And I think and the values can shift, I think, during different seasons of your life, which is, I think, exactly what you're saying. And in the last 3 years, a big value for me has been building a sustainable business. So a lot of my expenses go to team members and contractors and coaching programs for myself. Like, obviously, things for the podcast. Like, sometimes I'll go rent a studio or equipment for the podcast or the technology we're using, right? And that's something that is a big value for me and something that I'm working at right now. And I think for you, the value based spending that you had during that time was like, let's get our assets ready because we're not going out. Like, that's not something that we want to invest in right now. But for some people, like traveling could be something that they really value, right? While for other people, maybe a night out could be something that they really value. And that might seem really silly to like you and I, but if that's something that they value. So I think a big part, and I know you help your clients do this too, is identifying what their values are. And I think also maybe identifying what the goal is and how they can align their values to their goal.
Absolutely. Like for me, I got into this very kind of like loop of just buying a lot of clothes. And so I saw a sale, I had to buy clothes. And then during the pandemic, my closet is full of clothes that I don't even like, but it was on sale, so I bought it. So that did not align with the value of where I was at the time. So my value was to build up my assets. So not shopping, not doing this, and not to say, and now actually in 2024, I'm over here, like I've invested in a stylist. I've like now is the time where I'm actually focusing on
Yeah.
building up my wardrobe because I'm now in the season where I want to build it. So it doesn't have to be a forever thing. You can just look at these different stages and prioritize your values of what you want to focus on next.
Love it. Is there anything I haven't asked you either about career or about like wealth that you'd like to share?
I think really like being able to take risks in a way that I think that's the beauty of what finances can do too for you is being able to take risks. So I think a lot of the time, like, oh, I'm in this very comfortable job and I feel, you know, like where else can I get, this flexibility? That's something that I just really want to challenge people is really focus on what more is there out there for you? Not
Wow.
just I'm really comfortable and this is great right now. Like flexibility and comfort, like, that is could change tomorrow. Like, you can have a boss change. You can have, like, a change in leadership throughout the whole company. You just never know. So I just really encourage you to, like, look outside of the box and look outside of your career because you have no idea the type of opportunity you can have somewhere else, you know, find another job, make a lot more, fun have that be your sugar daddy job, build your own business. It's just really being able to like see your career as really fluid versus just like, all right, I'm here for 20 years and then I'm going to retire and that's when I get to have my fun life. And I think I've just challenged people to really question that.
I think that's such good advice about the fluidity because people think, it has to look a specific way. It's not. Like, change is the only constant, especially in the job market, especially with technology, right? It's like you could work at a company that's like the best company to work at, and then your company could literally go under because AI took over, right? Like, you never know. Actually, oh my gosh, I don't even think I told you this. So, the last tech job I had, whenever I had started my business. So it was my sugar daddy job when I started my business. And it was like the best tech job that I had. And my mom was like, "You're crazy for leaving this." Like, everybody thought I was insane because this was in the thick of the pandemic. The business was actually growing. I'm sorry, the company was actually growing during the pandemic because it was all virtual stuff. It was like Zoom, things like it had all these cool stuff. Anyways,
Yeah.
but I followed my intuition and I was like, I need to go start my business. And I left, and tell me why at the end of last year they closed the company. Like, they went through 3 rounds of layoffs and then the company went under. And I was like, you never know. And like, everybody thought I was insane for leaving and the company doesn't exist anymore. Had I stayed, I would have ended up getting laid off. So like, it's going to be fluid. And it was exactly one of those things where the technology just shifted and it was unnecessary. It's almost like, was it Kodak that like went under whenever, no, I mean, obviously we still have Kodak, but
Blockbuster?
Blockbuster with Netflix, yeah, and then I
Yeah.
could've swore there was also not actual Kodak, but like because now we have digital cameras, but it was like the actual,
The
obviously
film
the
roll.
company is still around, but I think the actual, yeah, like the you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah, the film.
The film, thank you. Yeah, so you never know what's gonna happen, so Jen's advice is excellent advice, and it's not even just for career, like, it's for life. Change is the
Yeah.
only constant, right? And I mean, I think even you, like your job, you've gone through so many like versions of shedding, but even like becoming a parent, like then like managing your finances as an individual versus like a partnership, like having a husband. And then like there's so many things to navigate and so many different identity shifts. So I think that advice you're giving is just like applicable to so many areas of life.
Absolutely. And with every change, it can be really difficult, but know you're just gaining more skills. Like am like a I was a master job hopper, and I used to be really self-conscious about that. Like, oh, I just kept on changing jobs. Like, I had family looking at me like I was crazy. But with every job change, one, I made more. Two, I was able to just learn, like, my network just doubled every time, and I just was able to gain new skills. So, when you're looking at a job too, like, when you're in the interview process, like, a lot of the time recruiters look at, like, what kind of environments are you used to? So, like, if I'm hiring for a big company and, like, do you have big company experience or do you have startup experience so you don't need as many resources? Just know your background and all your different experiences is building up your ultimate experience that you can offer today.
Love it. If this podcast resonates with you, I invite you to my free webinar, How to Be Magnetic. You'll learn how to attract opportunities, clients, and community without the hustle. This free webinar is happening on Tuesday, April 16th at 5 o'clock Pacific, and you are going to learn all about my 4-step magnetic framework to attract opportunities, clients, and community. You're going to learn how to go from hustling to attracting using feminine energy. You'll learn how to make decisions for your business by listening to your intuition instead of following what everyone else is doing and saying on social media. You're also going to learn why you are so worthy of your wildest dreams and why when these dreams come true, everybody benefits. This is for you if you are a female entrepreneur who's been really in her masculine slash hustly energy and you really want to embody your feminine slash magnetic energy. This is for you if you want to attract ideal clients and opportunities without having to slide into people's DMs or sound or feel salesy. And this is for you if you don't have a problem taking action, but you are just taking so much action to see what works and you just want to be intentional with your action because you don't have all the time in the world to do all of the different things. If you said yes to any of this, then join us on Tuesday, April 16th at 5 o'clock Pacific. This webinar is brought to you by Magnetic Mastermind. Magnetic Mastermind is a spiritual business mastermind for women entrepreneurs who want to double their demand by becoming magnetic. After the webinar, the doors for Magnetic Mastermind will open and there will be a 48-hour bonus for webinar attendees. This round of Magnetic Mastermind not only has a completely revised curriculum, but we also have an in-person kickoff event happening on May 25th and 26th in Santa Monica, California. So not only do you get to work with me for 6 months, and there's so many amazing bonuses that I don't want you to miss out on, but we also kick it off with an in-person event where you get to meet your mastermind sisters, you get to hang out with me, and we really just get to set the tone for the next 6 months. Make sure that you register for the webinar. That is when we are going to open doors for Magnetic Mastermind. To register, go down below to the show notes where you'll find the link, or you can go to the Erica Cruz, that's Erica with a K.com/webinar. I will see you then and enjoy the rest of the episode. Yay! Okay, so let me fast forward to like where we are now. So obviously we've worked together because you were inside of Courage Driven Latina. So I've seen the inception of you becoming a coach to now being this like badass coach because you are in Magnetic Mastermind. And I was writing down some of like the wins that I've seen from like just being your coach. But one of the things, actually, I was looking at your entry survey before we jumped on. And you pretty much said that what you were looking for was staying consistent on social media and selling your services through your content, and then adding a financial component of coaching to your career coaching. And you've like done everything and more. So you have started posting on LinkedIn. Tell us a little bit about the struggle of showing up on LinkedIn and then what happened once you started.
Yeah, that was a wild ride. I would say it so for me, for LinkedIn is where my decade-long recruiting career, that's where all my contacts are. Everyone I know is on LinkedIn. I've really focused on building my Instagram because Instagram, like no one knew me. Like I built that community very organically. But LinkedIn is like where everyone knows me. So as a recruiter, not only was I connected to my colleagues, but I was connected to mostly all the candidates that I would interview. So I had a really big network there, and I was just so afraid to just come out and be seen in a way. I was just like, "Oh my god, what if like this coaching thing doesn't work and then I have to ask them for help?" How like my ego is going to get hurt and all that. So it was a lot of mindset work that I had to work on. And then, you kept on constantly at like, "Did you post on LinkedIn yet?" LinkedIn's gonna be the place you need to be, Jen. And I was like, I know. I give workshops on LinkedIn. Like that, I've been giving workshops for almost 2 years about LinkedIn and how great of a platform is, but I wasn't using it myself to build my personal brand. Like you can use it, I can teach you how to use it, how to get a job quickly, but but I was not on there as like showing my business. So then I finally wrote my post and I had made like 4 different versions of it. And, I was like, enough. Like, I have been talking about how I'm going to do this. And in February, I posted my first post and it went viral. My whole network was very supportive. Like, I was getting some really sweet messages from my old colleagues just like, "I'm so happy for you. This is so perfect for you." Like, they just like, "I see it. Obviously, you would do this, Jen." It was just a lot of encouragement. And I was like, I was so afraid for so long to be seen by them when all they want to do is support me. So it showed I was able to get, a full schedule of sales calls, of clarity calls, because my network interacted with the post. Their network saw the post as well. So it really blew up. And in a way that, I got really vulnerable in that post. I shared my layoff story, and I was just really raw. And I just got so much great feedback on it. So once I saw the reactions from that, I've just kind of been like, that was the band-aid I needed ripped to just feel really great. So now I've been posting on it weekly and I just feel so good on it. I'm like, I have a lot to say and I really feel like I can be a thought leader here. So
Of
that is
course.
yeah, I was like, of course I can be here. Why not? And so the confidence really built up from there. And yeah, I've been able to get my first high ticket clients from that post. And so I've been really, really focusing on, you know, because when opened my business, I was figuring out different iterations of what I wanted to offer, and it just like solidified that like yeah, what I'm doing is really helpful, and I know like obviously with all my experience, I can do this too.
Yes, exactly. And I really feel like you have stepped into like being magnetic on LinkedIn. And like I'm just going to quickly read off the steps of what it means to like be magnetic, because I think a big thing that we worked on for you is okay, so the first thing is for the magnetic framework, and then I'm going to go back to like where I've seen you just completely transform. So the first thing to be magnetic is that you have to decide what you want. I think you knew what you wanted. There was almost a little bit of back and forth of like, how do I fit these two in together? And now it's like, oh my gosh, it fits in like a puzzle. It's just perfect. Like you are specifically helping people do the things that you've helped yourself with and helped so many other people do. But sometimes it just takes going through it to like be able to see it so clearly. So you knew what you wanted. And then the second step is believe you're worthy of it, right? Believe you're worthy of having it. And then the third step is taking the aligned action. And then the fourth step is allowing yourself to receive, which sometimes can be really hard for us as women, especially like women of color, where we're so used to giving and the receiving part is actually very difficult. So, what I have seen in you is a complete transformation in your belief around your worthiness. Like you just said, I know I can be a thought leader. And I feel like that's what we were navigating, because there was like, you knew you could do this because you've helped people, so many people do this, right? But it's just there was something about LinkedIn that was like letting yourself fully be seen. And then also like when you showed up in your most vulnerable self, and then it was received because it impacted so many, it touched so many people. It was relatable, right? And you
Mhm.
like, even if people didn't book a call with you, you've helped people with that post. So when you like, now that you're like, oh, I'm unquestionably like worthy, now the aligned action is just coming so freaking easily. And to your point, you've secured your high ticket clients from that post and from showing up, and like the demand keeps coming. So how does it feel to like have stepped into being magnetic to magnetism?
Yeah, I feel so good. I feel so empowered. I feel so confident. I feel just, you know, granted, I did this also during postpartum. So when we started this mastermind,
Yes.
I was 3 months postpartum. And I it was very raw. I was going through all the emotions, lots of changes, and I just wanted to be surrounded by other people doing really amazing things as well. And I wanted to be coached by you who actually planted the seed of, Jen, I think you should be a coach. And I just, you planted that seed 2.5 years ago. And now I'm here just like, I really wanted to marry those two of finance and career. And I just thought they were just had to be completely separate in my head because I just know career. So I have to talk about career when it's like, I know what I know. I know a lot about personal finance that I can help people with. And I actually was told a couple days ago, it's like, "Oh, that's a really unique take on career and money by making the 2. That's not common." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I have something here." So, I really think that I'm learning how to do things my own way, and I'm feeling really confident rather than, just going along with my decade-long career. It could be a 20-year career, it can be this, but really, like, I'm really learned how to do things my own way and accept kind of that I'm doing these things for a reason too.
Yes, exactly. And
Mhm.
you're right. I think sometimes we fear like things being different, but that's when you know you're being innovative, right?
Yeah.
Like you've literally found your niche here. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, money and career, that's something we focus on so much more than we think, or we
Yeah.
can just put it on, autopilot and just like not pay attention to it when then it's like, oh. So just yeah, I think just people knowing that they have options and learning about those options is really important.
Agreed, agreed. And if people aren't following you on LinkedIn, they definitely should be. So we're going to include all your links down below. I just want to make sure that I say that, but I'm going to say that before we end the episode as well. So, Jen, tell me like from your perspective being like a client inside the mastermind, what kind of results and transformations do you think you've gone through being inside of the mastermind?
I think I've really learned how to sell my self on my offer, but in turn, that's helped me show up on Instagram, show up on LinkedIn, show up in ways that I was too afraid to. Like, just really think about myself and my career and all the opportunities I have so much more because I have that worthiness and I'm like, I know I can do this and have that confidence behind it. So it's helped me put things into action. Something that I really think is really important, especially about a mastermind, is using that time super wisely to ask the questions, to be able to come prepared. And I took this investment as like, I'm gonna pay for this and I'm gonna show up. And like I've never missed a call. And because I really put in that time and being able to, I need to get the most out of this opportunity. So I think I really yeah, I think just being part of the mastermind kept me accountable for the things that I really wanted to accomplish and just pushed me more and more to like, okay, why do you feel uncomfortable? And getting that coaching consistently because sometimes you can
Mhm.
really need coaching on one topic multiple times. It's like, okay, that made sense. Like, yeah, let me work on that. And then nothing happens. And like, okay, I still haven't done this. Okay, Jen, what's going on? So really being able to dig into like, okay, why am I not acting on this? But also this came to like with the supportive therapy as well.
Mm.
And I actually started going to therapy when I was encouraged in Latina because I was just like, am I crazy that I'm kind of open to therapy? You're like, absolutely not. Like, we all need therapy. So
Yes.
yeah, so I think for me, just being surrounded by you know, people at different stages of their businesses and seeing people also in even you sharing the different challenges that you're dealing with your business years in.
Mhm.
That's just so helpful to know like okay, like those are the challenges I can expect at that time too. So just hearing more, learning more and just like being really open to the feedback and also pushing myself to take that action and seeing what the results turn out to be.
Yeah, I think Jen, if you wouldn't have invested in the mastermind, like I don't because he that's what happened to me. Like when I invested, I was like, I didn't pay this money to like not take this serious. Like it really makes you
Mhm.
show up. And I just like also just have to commend you on so many different on a few different things because first and foremost, you've asked for coaching when it's even uncomfortable. So like when you had me review your consult call and I went through it and nitpicked on any little thing that I thought could use improvement and I was, and it's like you're not paying me to be a people pleaser. You're paying me to help you become the best coach you can be and to help you grow your business and so like I really was like I'm going to give her kudos when it's necessary because you did such an amazing job on that call, but there was also like opportunity for growth that I was like she is ready to like step into this. So like you asked for coaching when it was uncomfortable. So to your point, asking for coaching multiple times on something, there can be so much shame around that and you still showed up and you did it. And then like whenever you ask for feedback on your call, but the other thing I wanted to point out is like, Jen, you have helped me become a better coach as well. Because when I asked for feedback on the mastermind on like what's working and what's not working, you gave me feedback and you helped me become a better coach. So do you want to share like your perspective on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think I really built that relationship with you where I can just be open and it come from like a really compassionate place. And yeah, I think I just shared feedback. I was like, something just feels a little off. And then so I was really open and I shared that with you and you took it with like, thank you for the like you were very appreciative of it too. I was very uncomfortable to share feedback because yes, the people pleaser in me does not want anyone to feel uncomfortable or bad or think that they're doing like they they're not doing the things that they should be or anything really. But really being able to step in and to give you that feedback and also you take it in a great way as well. So yeah, I think being a mom has really helped me be a lot more clear about these things. Like
Yeah.
I think I have a lot more of like a comfort sharing feedback because it's always going to come from a really good place. I
Yeah.
don't want to ever gossip. I don't ever want to ever nitpick. I don't ever want to like get to a point where I'm part of an experience and I'm not enjoying it 100%. So yeah, I think the feedback being able like have the courage to share the feedback
Yeah.
was a lot for me, and I was really happy with it, and I really appreciate the way you took it as well.
Good. I'm so glad. And I've been in I and here's like the way that I thought about it too cuz as a coach it can also feel like, "Oh my gosh, I'm messing up. People don't like I'm not a good coach. Like they don't want to be here anymore." But like the way that I took it is if I didn't receive the feedback, I wouldn't know. And she would
Mhm,
still be having this experience and she has given me an opportunity to change what's not working and make it a better program. And
mhm,
when that like I feel like coaching really requires you to remove your ego out of the coaching container because I've been in many containers, as I was telling you before we started recording, where the feedback was not taken in a good way. And it just kind of ruined the whole container for everybody. Like I had one coach who like received feedback from one of the clients, not myself, from somebody else in the program. And then that person was removed from the program. And it was just like, okay. Or I've had like other ones where like the coach will literally like talk shit about the people who are in their program and it's like these are your clients, right? And I think a big part of of coaching, like as you're coaching other people, it forces you to also step into, like, it's going to be a mirror. Like a lot of times your clients are going to be mirrors back to you. So being a coach and being coached is like life changing. It really is, because it gives you an opportunity to just step into the most authentic version of yourself. And I just think that you are one of those clients that has really forced me to become a better coach in a very positive way. And I'm just appreciative, which is why every time I'm in Austin, I'm like, Jen, let's meet up.
I love it. Yeah. And like, this was the first time of me being in this long of a container too, and this was your first iteration of Magnetic Mastermind, so, like, I can't imagine how much better it's gonna be, like, with one experience too, and then completely that's the beauty of business. We have these different
Exactly.
iterations of how we can make our business even better every time and who we
Yeah,
wanna serve too.
exactly. Exactly. So, another thing that you did inside of Magnetic Mastermind is come up with your rich framework.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what your rich framework is?
Yes, absolutely. So rich really spelling out rich is like, first we really focusing on rewriting your money beliefs, your career beliefs, your values. So I really help my clients focus on those because sometimes it can even be like, I was told I should do this career path or I fell into this and I don't really like it. So really being able to rewrite it, and then there's all about integrating. So the I is integrating systems to be able to invest and save. So I just want you to be really, really comfortable and you're building the foundation of your financials. So, if a layoff happens or if you get an increase in salary, like you know what to do with that. You're not just gonna go and like inflate your lifestyle to the point where now you're living paycheck to paycheck with this new increase. Money, and when women have money especially, like we have options and we really need to be able to hone in on that. And then C is really everything about your career, leveraging your career, growing your career, being able to get promoted, but also focusing on like, how am I going to negotiate? How am I going to gain the skills? What are my transferable skills? Anything around interviews, everything career, like that's where we'll focus on. H is really honoring your values and ensuring that everything that you're doing is in line with your values and just honoring everything that you're focusing on. So I think it's like it's really being honest with yourself as well.
Yeah.
So I think we're a lot of the time we're given this like we're just told what we should and shouldn't do when it comes to your career and your money. And unfortunately, a lot of the times, especially being first generation, like our parents were taught something and like an American dream is one thing, but I'm like even thinking outside of the box and I'm really focusing on how can I change up my life? How can I relocate my family? How can I have these options? How do I can I give my daughter this certain education? So I it's really being able to honor your values and really be able to find those opportunities for yourself where you feel more in alignment every day and that constantly changes.
It
So
does. Oh, I love that. I love the H. And this is the first time that I've heard you pitch it like this, because obviously we kind of like went back and forth. I mean, it's your framework, but like we went back and forth with it. And this is the first time I've heard you like say it. And I'm like, it sounds even better than what I remember. And I'm just so excited because like everything is falling into place so well for you. And I love the last letter of H because that was one of the main things I learned from you, right? Like honoring your values when it comes to the way you spend your money, but like money brings up so many life things as well. So like it's just really honoring your authenticity and who you are, and the way we spend our money and time like dictates our life pretty much,
it
right?
really does.
So yeah. Yeah, that is beautiful. So I only have a couple more questions for you. One of them is, who do you think is a good fit for Magnetic Mastermind? Like, who do you think should join this next round of the mastermind?
I would say someone who's already started their business, but maybe needs a little bit more clarity around their target audience and just like really kind of building their business and finding that opportunity to like feel worthy about their business. Because sometimes I feel like we can start our business without too much information and we're really depending on like what we see online and where we should really focus, but if you're really looking to like scale your business and find a business that's in alignment with what you're wanting to focus on. So before I joined the mastermind, I had already started my business, but I was offering like smaller packages. I was testing things out and
Mhm.
just something felt off about it. And I feel like you really helped me figure out like and step into that identity of being this coach that can work with people longer term. And that's how I was able to get a lot more impact and results for my clients. So that like really nailing down your business and being able to step into that too.
Love it. Yeah, great job. You've pretty much just verbally expressed a lot of the changes that are coming to the masterminds. Like for example, you have to have had 3 paid clients or 3,000 followers in order to join the next round of the
Mm,
mastermind.
okay.
So, more about that to come. But yeah, thank you for that because I feel like you hit the nail on the head. The other question I have for you is where can people connect with you and how can they work with you?
Yeah, for sure. So I am on LinkedIn. So Jenn Jamali, Jam as in Mary, Ali, like tamale with a J. But I'm also on Instagram at First Gen, Jenn Money. So really focusing on the first gen experience, but having a twist with my name. And the way I've been able to help my clients, and so we work in a 12-week container, so typically 3 months. And we really break down your career, kind of where you are financially, but also like where your money mindset is too. And then also break down where you are in your career. Are you wanting to make a career move or really wanting a promotion and really wanting to negotiate your salary? So I really help my clients get a lot more clarity and confidence around their career and their money.
Yes, so you get to work one-on-one with Jen and she takes you through her rich framework and you get to figure out your own like who is it that says that? Like what does your rich life mean to you? You're like helping people do that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think it's so important just to know that like once you have your financials down and your career down, like you can just dream so much bigger.
Yeah.
And there's actual dreams, not just like I need to do this for 30 years and then I can have fun with my life. That we don't prescribe to that.
Not at all. Not at all. And yeah, I mean, whenever I have a family, I'm going to be running to Jen. I'm going to be like, "How do I do this?" I'm going to be coming to you for help now.
Oh man, having a family is no joke, but honestly brings so much more purpose and why to what I'm doing too. Because
Yeah.
I would say my why has really turned into like, I want to get to a point where my daughter, who is 8 months right now, is, you know, making six figures and negotiating her salary and owning real estate, owning her own business. That's completely normal to her because she
Yeah.
saw her mom do it. She saw like everyone around her taking control of their life and their financials. So that is really my biggest why for sure.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, we're going to end here because that was just such a great way to end. Jen, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you for being such an amazing client and an amazing coach. And I will see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for joining me this week. Make sure to visit theericacruz.com. That's Erica with a K, where you can subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode. You can help this podcast grow by supporting me with an Apple Podcast rate and review. If you took anything away from this episode, I invite you to take a screenshot and share it on social media so that your favorite badass Latinas can also check it out. Be sure to tag me at the Erica Cruz. That's Erica with a K because you know I want to see it. If you're ready to join the revolution and be a part of the Courage Driven Latina community, visit couragedrivenlatina.com to get more information and join the waitlist. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.